All right, we dive into yesterday. I'm going to go straight to the 15-minute chart. And just a bunch of junk yesterday. It was good movement, especially on the NASDAQ. I know the ES was a little slower around the same time. Not as big a moves, wide area or whatever, but uh, in Q, it just felt like it was setting up for this long up here to this 260 area. It still hasn't actually gotten there, but we were just building up right through there, even though we broke through that trend line and we never really actually regained it. This was that 50% mean threshold that I was looking at. We did finally break it. When it did, just look at the slam. It was actually a pretty decent move from here to here. I think I was in though at the top of that hammer, so which would have still produced about 20 points. I didn't get out. I wasn't actually managing the trade at this point. I just kind of set it, forget it, let it run. I'll look at it in a couple hours, and then within the hour I was out. So last couple of days, I think it was last Thursday, and then yesterday, uh, I've taken some pretty good hits. Had a decent trade yesterday on that recovery from here to here, which was pretty solid. But the three losses I think that I took after that just wiped out that entire game. So we came down here and eventually swept these lows before moving back up. And this would have been a nice run. You get into a 3-minute chart on it. You start see the pullback and then this little consolidation. 1-minute chart. This looks even better. You see a little consolidation here and then this kind of pop up. Once we started to break through here, you can see the difference in the continuation at the break. And it really doesn't come back into that fair value gap to give you an entry. You'd have just had to kind of jump in, but um, pretty good little movement right in here to take it back up. End of the day, we come back down and sweep these lows right here and then pop back up into this area. This was that zone. You could have made money trading back into it that we were talking about yesterday morning before market open. That trade that I took that I couldn't manage that ended up getting up into there. It was right off of here. So let me get some of these lines off here. And that's where we hung around overnight. And we popped out, come back basically to it. What's happening? It's a pretty good line right there. I think it's based off of a 5-minute order block. Yeah. The fair value gaps on like the hourly, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Fair value gap. And that's just the 50% of it. And we just stayed all over it until the early this morning. I think Toby took advantage of a trade. No, he was short the Euro USD. That's what it was. But yeah, like this area, even still, for price to play around. We got the daily open price line right there, the weekly just above it. We did make a new high overnight. Looks like we're bottom of that body right there. So if we take from this high to this low now, kind of reach back into premium a little bit. We might reach a little bit further, but I think this right here is going to be gobbled up. Whereas yesterday, I kind of liked all of this and that to go higher. The fact that we didn't, we just couldn't penetrate through a whole lot of stuff. I think now with this consolidation here, that we might get some pushes back down. And I don't think there's real news today. CPI is tomorrow. So we could just kind of mess around with the median today. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it looks like right now here on the hourly consolidation run on stops. We've already kind of retraced. So hop back down here into this median. We get some nice bodies right here in structure. Drop into a 15 again. Not saying that it won't try and reach up one more time, but I think today's outlook is a little more bearish. Yeah. A lot like yesterday, too. Right. Because there's just no news driver, and the big news is coming tomorrow. Let's look at the ES. Reached up a little bit further, as you can see. This would have been that 260 structure on the NASDAQ that I wanted the NASDAQ to get to. You can see the ES got there, which is in between the 62 and the 70. It got there overnight. Yesterday, we didn't fall as far. We didn't push as high. So a lot more static movement on the ES as opposed to what the NQ did. Go to the 15-minute chart. I got a lot of structure lines set that I think I'm going to pull off. I think I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to definitely leave this one there. Might leave that one too. Yeah, we're kind of just in the middle. I don't really know what the ES is going to do. We could definitely reach higher. We do have this, was that the mean threshold? Sure, that is. Yeah, probably the monthly. You see, we got there. We kind of rejected it a little bit, but not a whole lot. With this type of a drop into that low right there, uh, I think we might be a little bullish. Let me look at the NQ on the daily. Yeah, the NQ just looks bearish to me. Yes, usually there's just nothing that's going to give it momentum. I mean, you might find some good spikes at opening, um, good pops at like the market opens and stuff like that, and sometimes around your kill zones like your London Open. So if you drop into that 15-minute chart, this movement, as you can see, this drop was roughly 3 o'clock. So this little pop was at 1, which wouldn't have been anything. The 2 o'clock move, little jump. You had some pound news. It might have affected the dollar, but I just think this buildup of liquidity, you had this snatch up right here, and then this movement into this structure. Like, might have just been looking at the wrong instrument yesterday when it came to this structure. But the fact we have taken this liquidity top side and bottom side, so and then we've come back into basically the center of it, right? Um, it's going to have to show me some more like better displacement below the daily price line, and then some consolidation, and then a movement to the downside for me to believe that we're going down again on the ES. Just this rejection right here is a pretty good bounce, and that's a structure line. This is equilibrium. The fact that we got down into discount and immediately rejected back up, I would want to see kind of a push back down, then a little bit of consolidation where it doesn't want to move back to the upside and then a drop. Yeah. Anytime you're trading with momentum indicators like the moving averages, them sitting right on top of each other with no clear up and down move, like that's not conducive for trading. You want to see that kind of swing motion. That way you're getting the crosses. And when you get in the crosses, that's when you're getting good entries. Right now, the fact that they're just laying on top of each other, no real good swings. This is just choppy. That'll cut you up. You can make money doing that. I mean, right here. These are not bad swings. Obviously, they're like 15, 10, 15 points on the ES. It's solid. I'm not saying you can't make money, because if you remove the moving average and the VWAP, you've got reasons to enter. So right here would have been order block. When we rejected down through it, you could have played the retest of the daily price line, which would have been the 50% of that order block, and then taken that extra little move to the downside. So 45 all the way to 40. Or even been your 5 points. I say order block. It would have been a breaker at that point. Drop into a lower time frame too. You have entries all over the place. Where we're getting back to here. Now see this lower time frame is 3 minute chart. Downside. Take it back to equilibrium. That just looks initially bearish right now. I'm not saying that's a setup by any means, but the fact that we've moved back into this area and pretty much strongly rejected it right there, we might come back and retest this area again. Volume weighted average price. So it is the average price where, man, I used to know the technical definition of it. It basically takes in the entire day. This will be the same line, 47 on the hourly chart, the 4 hour chart. As you can see, 47. It's the same line, the hourly chart, 47. It's the same line on all time frames. So a lot of people, I say a lot of people, there are quite a few traders that will have the VWAP on their chart, because it just kind of gives you an indication of oh man, I used to be able to describe it a lot better. Anyways, price tends to come back to the VWAP. It doesn't like to, yes, there you go. It's a good one. Like a magnet. As you can see, the further away it gets, it wants to come back to it. And when it gets back to it, it usually consolidates around it. Pop here, comes back to it, consolidates, touches, and bounces. Look at all the noise right there. Touch, touch. So when you're above it, you're bullish. When you're below it, you're bearish. That's what a lot of people trade it with. With the addition of the 21 EMA, that cross, that would keep me from going short. We're above the VWAP. We're also above the 21. So I would not want to be going short here. Even though on the higher time frames, we're in a premium. So you can see, there's so many different ways that you can trade the markets. You just really have to pick one and stick with it, right? The reason I started throwing the 21 and the VWAP up is because I just started seeing every side of every trade. And it got to where I wouldn't take anything. So even before I had that up there, I was telling you, I want to see this break down, consolidate, and then go. So what I would like to see it run through the 21 and the VWAP, come back, retest it, and then drop. So if you come over here to Yeah, too many, and don't use them. You don't need to. You don't need to. Um, like I said, I was just seeing every side of each trade, and I was overanalyzing everything that I was looking at. And instead of actually being in trades and saying over managing or mismanaging, I wasn't able to manage because I was handcuffing myself by being able to just not having anything to get me in a trade. So that's the reason I threw the 21 up for a little while. And then I started throwing the VWAP up for a little while. And, I've been watching Patrick Weiland. He uses these two quite a bit. And those were things that I just kind of hung on. Yes. Yes. Yeah. They'll wait for it to get way away, and they'll counter it. It's like, again, I know I've said it so many times. Jeremy Newsom said one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in trading: everything works, just not all the time. You can have all the indicators up here and they'll help you take trades and win. And then they'll also be bullshit. So we broke through VWAP in 21, right? We get across. Where does it come back? Right to it, touches it. So the VWAP is 47.25. The low of that, 47.25. And again, without this on here, y'all, I was saying that this looked bullish to me, right? That everything about this, the ES looked more bullish than the NQ. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Kyle, don't change anything. You're seeing the market pretty good right now. Everything you're doing is perfect. So yeah, there you go. Looking for liquidities and inefficiencies. Yeah, and it does. There it is. Liquidity. And what did it leave behind? Inefficiencies that it come back to fill in. Inefficiency. Where does it break out? Right there. Yeah. So many different ways to trade. Look at the dollar. The dollar was dying yesterday. Yeah. Still selling off. And I think that's what was giving me a little confusion yesterday too, was the dollar was just falling and nothing was really, like, the markets were not reacting to that at all. Euro USD should have been trading Forex yesterday. But even then, that didn't look quite like the dollar. The dollar was just straight down. Then we gap down, come back, touch that gap, and then came down. We could be getting to kind of a stopping point on the dollar today. Just in a lot of junk, but pretty good little fair value up right there. Consequent encroachment behind it. Hmm. Might be a good little bounce number. Yeah. Yeah, he was in it at 3:30 this morning. Yeah, his stop should have been able to keep him in that. I don't know. His times may be off. This doesn't look the same as his chart. Go to the 1 minute. Wow. Yeah, he tried to go short again this morning. I don't really know exactly where he went short at. See, it looks like no. My chart doesn't look like his. I can't match it up. I think Toby took this long right here too before the sell off. Hmm. Anyways, dollar still dying, and there's no news, no reason for it to come back. We have started kind of basing out right here, taking lows, but I like this number. Judging by the structure to the left there, um, we might come back and clean up some of this, and then work our way down before getting a good bounce. So I do like that area. Oh, you're right. I'm on the. It's early. Yeah, yeah, you're right. He did. He got almost all that move. Yeah, he's pretty solid. Yeah, that's where he got in at. Took it all the way to here. But if he had left a runner, that would have been nice. All right. So with no news driver today, really just pay attention to what the market's going to do. I feel like the NQ's bearish. Um, we didn't look at the Dow, but it did not make. Um, I was looking at it wrong. Yeah. So all of them have taken that liquidity they set up from yesterday. Um, yeah. The NQ to me just looks bearish. Looks like it's going to come back down into the Monday range. Um, this might be the high we could creep up and then back down into it, but I think overall the bigger move is going to go to the downside today. And then the ES, I just don't know yet. Don't know which one's going to be leading. It's actually grabbed way more of this liquidity down in here, but it didn't yesterday, right? So the NQ moved these lines further down after they were established overnight. So I think ES has more downside than the NQ, but I think the NQ is weaker. So we'll see. But I think that's all I got time for this morning. I'm gonna have to get going. Be careful today. I don't know how much I'm going to be around the um, markets today, but I'll try and be around it as much as I can. See, yeah, everybody have a profitable day, and I will see y'all tomorrow morning, same time.